There are two layers into this, right? I think the first one is in terms of people being tracked, and the other one is whether or not you'll be able to message people about any programs that you may have for marketing or any type of promotions, if you will. The first thing is you do have to have more better standards in terms of what is that you need and what are the customer journey within your website. What are the type of milestones that you want to capture that will drive some of the messaging and capabilities that you want to put in or to have in marketing. I think that will become more and more important to define those information architecture, if you will, and also trying to see what is that you'll be able to enable through them, like audience building is going to be very, very important with the first party data. And the second thing is how is that you can rely on other type of sources to say, hey, this is the people that I want to message to or that I want to target. What is out there for us to really drive a message? Well, I think that's the one thing that is very important, right? That piece of the information architecture. Anything else in terms of the technologies? I think technologies will get there. I mean, I think Google is coming out with the groupings or the cohorts type of technology to see what we can do with that. But we're just experimenting right now with trying different things to see actually what works, because this thing is changing every day, right? We're trying to adopt this, right?
Wonderful. And Matt, maybe since you brought up kind of the role of privacy notices and updates to those, transparency sort of in this context, could you speak a little more to that? I mean, what are kind of the, I guess, main pieces or maybe disclosures that you would anticipate kind of becoming more in the spotlight in reaction to this?
Well, I think there's this notion of being a good faith partner with your site visitors. And so you want to be a good and responsible data steward. You're beginning with an agreement with your site visitor that if by visiting the site and consuming the information there, we as the site managers are going to collect this data in a responsible way. So I think in terms of transparency, that should be something that is communicated clearly to the user. What I would like to see happen, because what I observe right now is that when you land on a website and you are served a cookie banner, the way in which that banner cohesively integrates into the UX of the site is, it varies by site to site. What I'd like to see is the experience of the banner to actually be more closely integrated with the overall user experience on your site, rather than it kind of appearing like a wart or something there to perform a utility. I think there are ways that you can make it fun, perhaps, and be a little bit more conversational about, rather than having these disclaimers and legalese just render within the banner itself and expect your users to read it. Make it part of the experience, make it conversational. Hey, are you just browsing, or are you considering shopping or signing up for something? If it's the latter, maybe consider opting into tracking so that we can make the site experience better for you. So that you're starting the conversation as a partnership. And I think that's going to telegraph to your potential customers the care you're offering for how you're going to continue to manage and utilize the data well into the customer relationship as well. I think in addition to that, since we are shifting focus to first-party data, that means that we're going to have to incentivize in some manner a user offering their consent. Now, that's going to be transactional in some shape or form, not necessarily monetarily, but it can be, for example, through a piece of content, a high-value piece of content on your website. A user lands on the website seeking information. You provide a white paper, and the value of that content piece invites the user to fill out a gated form or something to that effect. And then to Juan's point, while you are collecting that first-party data, the volunteered data from that user by filling out that gated form, you want to be sure that you're collecting just the data you need, especially just the data you need. I think up until recently, we've all been operating in kind of a in a mode where more data is better. And I think as things progress going forward and we become more privacy focused, we need to be more deliberate about what data we're collecting and how we're activating it. And I think that's going to include opt-in signals, not only for web browsing and collecting data during the web session, but also enabling an opt-in to activating on that first party data through the marketing pipeline.
I think this is a very tricky thing, when it comes to say, how do you collect consent, right? When you have an environment like ours, where you have hundreds of sites and domains, and you have hundreds of applications out there, and over 20 million pages that you have to deal with, it's very difficult to say, hey, what is the best way for us to consent, to request consent? But not only that, like you have things like where you gate assets that the people that cannot download. Yes, they give you the information, but also they say, I don't want you to contact me, right? So it's becoming very, very difficult to collect all that information in this diverse environment in which we are, and more so when you have multiple types of sites, applications that are SaaS applications, or applications that are served through like cloud and things like that. It's becoming very difficult to collect this data. And more so, like, when you are in a website, and we've seen these type of behaviors when you had the banner showing up, but you allow people to browse because you want them there, you want them to consume the content, and they get through the point of saying, yes, I want to do a trial of these, right? So they go through all that process, they give you the information, but they never allow you to do the tracking. You keep that thing there and you expect them to interact with it, but they don't do that. So it's kind of a very difficult scenario that we have to do something more creative to say, hey, create some process that allow us to put in front of them more consciously, that they can actually say, yes, I consent you to do some sort of tracking, right? Because then you have the different levels of tracking. As I say, I can do analytics tracking, but not personalize any data or use that data to give me some targeting messages. So it's going to be interesting how things develop moving forward when it comes to how can you get more information from the people, and that it works well for them to come to trusting you that you're not going to use the data for some other purposes. Right?